Welcome to SS2 English Language. This lesson covers reading set text for WAEC, understanding how to approach the literary text prescribed by WAEC for the English language examination and how to read them analytically, not just for story enjoyment. WAEC English Language Paper 3, the Literature in English component, requires candidates to demonstrate knowledge of specific texts prescribed in the WAEC syllabus. These texts are changed periodically by WAEC, so students must always check the current syllabus for their examination year. WAEC typically prescribes one novel, one collection of poems, and sometimes one play or additional prose work. Studying said text involves 4 levels of reading. First level, plot reading, know what happens. Who are the characters? What events occur? In what order? Second level, character reading, who are the characters and how do they develop? What motivates them? How do they relate to each other? How do they change from beginning to end? Third level, thematic reading, what central ideas does the text explore? How do characters, events, and language work together to develop those ideas? Fourth level, language and craft reading, how does the author use language, imagery, structure, and style to create affects and communicate meaning? WAEC questions test all 4 levels but emphasize the 3rd and 4th levels, so students who read only for plot are poorly prepared. When reading a set novel for WAEC preparation, before you read, preview the author biography, the historical and cultural context of the novel, and the list of questions at the back of any study guide. Knowing the context helps you understand the text more deeply. While you read, keep a reading journal. As you finish each chapter, write 3 things: a summary of events, 1 character observation, and 1 language observation, the striking image, metaphor, or structural choice by the author. After each major section, identify the themes developing in that section. Use sticky notes or margin annotations to mark important passages, scenes of significant conflict, character revelation, thematic statement. Annotate the language, circle powerful verbs, underline important dialogue, mark shifts in narrative perspective. After you read, write character sketches for all main characters, personality, motivation, development, significance. Identify the 3 to 5 major themes of the novel and for each theme, list 3 to 5 specific passages from the text that develop that theme. Practice writing analytical paragraphs about the novel using the PE method. Poetry set texts for WAEC require a different analytical approach. Unlike a novel, each poem must be understood as a complete, self-contained unit. For each poem in the set, read the poem aloud at least twice. Reading aloud activates your awareness of rhythm, sound, and emphasis. Paraphrase the poem, express the meaning of each stanza in plain prose. Identify the speaker, situation, and tone. Ask, who is speaking, to whom, in what situation, and with what emotional attitude. Identify and analyze literary devices, simile, metaphor, personification, imagery, irony, symbolism, alliteration, assonance. Note the structural choices, how many stanzas. What line length? Regular or irregular meter? Rhyme scheme or free verse? Connect the poem to its context. When was it written? By whom? What historical, cultural, or political forces shaped it? For Nigerian poetry, understanding the Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa cultural allusions enriches interpretation enormously. Compare poems. WAEC often asks comparison questions. Compare how 2 poems treat the theme of loss, or identity, or nature. Know which poems in the collection share themes so you can answer comparison questions efficiently. WAEC set text questions are typically of 3 types: identification questions, name 3 themes in the novel; character questions, how does the character of X develop throughout the text; and analytical questions, discuss how the author uses language to convey the theme of Y. For all 3 types, use PE paragraphs. Even for identification questions, briefly explain your identification with a reference to the text. Always use the author's name, not just the book title, Achebe, not just Things Fall Apart. Refer to specific scenes, chapters, or stanzas rather than vague general claims. When quoting, keep quotations short, no more than 2 lines, and embed them in your sentence. Okonkwo's patriarchal rigidity is evident from the opening when Achebe describes him as a man who ruled his household with a heavy hand. Avoid plot summary as an answer to analytical questions. The examiner already knows the plot. Demonstrate analysis, explain how and why the author made specific choices and what effects those choices produce. Today we covered that reading set text for WAEC requires analytical reading at 4 levels: plot, character, theme, and language and craft. Novels require a reading journal, annotations, and character sketches. Poems require reading aloud, paraphrasing, device identification, and contextual awareness. WAEC questions on set text require PE paragraphs with specific textual references, not plot summary. For your practice exercise, take 1 chapter of your set novel and write a 1-paragraph plot summary, a 1-paragraph character observation, and a 1-paragraph analysis of a language feature, each using the PE method. Compare your 3 paragraphs to see the difference between summary and analysis.